Good afternoon. This is for our late afternoon podcasters, but it's an important one because you're on the Fractional Executive podcast. And whenever you can get fractional people together, this is the time to stop what you're doing and listen to what these guys are going to share with you. So I'm Podcast Pete, and I'm surrounded by two fractional guys. So I've got the best seat in the house. So we're going to go from left to right. So
Okay.
Jonathan, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll go to Todd.
Excellent. Yes. My name is Jonathan Tremblay. I'm the owner and CEO of Pivotal Exec Solutions, where we offer fractional executive services for anyone who's looking for a COO, a CIO, a CRO, right? Or anything else that may be required to kind of give people the access to knowledge and strategy that you just otherwise could not afford. And that way you can avoid the consequences of not knowing.
Awesome. Todd, share with our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Pete. So, Todd Lesson, I'm with Diakonos Management Solutions. So, I'm a fractional chief growth officer. So, really, what a growth officer is, I help connect the dots between really sales, marketing, and operations to maximize your revenue growth. And, my heart's with a small business owner. So, I love serving the small business owner that, most importantly, wants to grow.
Awesome. I'm going to let Jonathan ask a few questions here because you just spurred a lot of thoughts. So, Jonathan, how would you introduce what Todd has talked about that adds value to the clients that you have out there? And what do you see the potential for the exposure of growth to a person with his skill set?
Yeah, no, I think that what Todd is talking about is huge because, the reality is we tend to think about sales and marketing and operations as almost like three separate buckets. And it is interesting because, and I will say there is value to even like we have our own chief sales officers and chief marketing officers and things like that are very like niched and very tailored to that. But really understanding how all of those pieces work together to help grow your business is huge. And so, I think that it's a very unique position that I haven't heard a lot of people focus on, which I think is phenomenal. I would love to hear from Todd. Todd, how do you what is it that you bring to the table when bringing all three of those strategies together to really help businesses come together and actually use those strategies all together to grow?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Jeff. So for me, where it starts with the data. The numbers don't lie. So if you're looking to grow your business, you need to take a forensic approach, look at your data, see where you're growing, see where you're not. And when you think about it, revenue first, that could be reducing your operational expense, could be the fastest track to grow revenue if you need cash quickly. Or if you're looking at it, and you're operationally sound and you have you're not spending much on marketing, but you have an exceptional sales team, maybe goose your marketing budget a little bit more and then infuse more activity to let your sales rock stars just grow your business. Or you might be an organization that doesn't have a sales staff. And if you don't sell, you don't get revenue. So I really try to come in and look at it holistically because there's lots of different ways you can grow a business. And it's unique for each business. It depends how long tenured have they been in business for. How large is your existing client base? Are you kind of 2 to 3 years and you're just kind of coming out of scrappy mode as an entrepreneur? Now you need to put the systems and structures in place to be sustainable. Each of those scenarios has a completely different approach and strategy. But at the end of the day, it starts and ends with data.
No, love that. I love that. Obviously, and you said the magic word data, right? Which is huge for me on my end from an operations and like I'm more of the COO, CTO side of the house on my expertise. And we use data in everything to try to essentially measure and optimize operations, which I think is phenomenal. I really think data applies to every single position that you're in, whether you're a hiring officer or sales or operations or marketing. Data is always at the key of everything. Now, one of the things that is interesting to me is, when it comes to growth and sales and things like that, I see a lot of businesses that get stuck in, where they struggle with figuring out like why they're not getting sales, right? And exactly like, so can you tell me a little bit, Todd, of like, what are some of the more common like situations, especially for, like newer businesses when it comes to actually getting sales? And how does like all three of those pieces kind of come together to, or what would be like your biggest recommendations for a lot of those problems that a lot of people face when trying to get sales?
No, that's a great question. Where I always love to start is with the business owners, and if they have multiple products within their business, I want them to explain to me the who, what, where, when, and why of each of those products. And if you can't answer those questions, how in the world can you expect your marketing team to communicate it or your sales team to sell it? Right there, you're fragmented. So I always look at like the basics. I mean, we learn who, what, where, when, why, in what, fifth or sixth grade. So it's a very simple premise, but it starts with the alignment. And what you tend to see, what I've seen personally, is when you start becoming misaligned, your marketing talks about one thing and your salespeople are either talking about something different or incentivized to sell something different. That's when you start to lose productivity. And then when you think about it from an operations perspective, I'm a customer experience guy. Like if you have a crap product, you're only gonna go so far. You're only gonna last as far as you can continue that acquisition engine. So when I think about all three phases, you need to have a phenomenal product that is simple to use. It needs to solve a problem first and foremost. And then can you communicate it both in the marketing aspects and all the different tactics, whatever tactics you choose to leverage? And then can your salespeople communicate that to the end user in a simple way? I think so often, and I'm guilty of this. I like to geek out and talk about all the cool stuff. The person sitting across the table from you is thinking, what are you talking about? Can you fix this? Yes or no? So you almost have to, I hate to use dumb it down, but you need to simplify it to a manner so it makes sense. And then obviously close. What is the value? What is the ROI? What am I going to get if I go with you or something else or someone else?
Yeah.
Let me jump in. I want to ask this question because I don't know if it's an awareness thing. Somebody talks about a Tesla and then you see them everywhere. You just, that awareness to a certain thing that you weren't really thinking about. I've heard data years ago, but it's like right now I'm hearing data with small businesses. Is it just that I've had the ability to meet you guys and then I'm hearing where data now is in the small business arena and they're doing more with data to move the needle, or is it always been around? I just have overlooked it.
Well, I just want to say, like I saw a meme on LinkedIn at one point which said data is the new oil, right? And and I thought that was like really genius, right? Because the fact of the matter is like, I mean, think about it. What is it that companies are really successful in, right? And what is making some of the most, I mean, Google did not get, as powerful as it did because it just simply had a search engine, right? It actually, because it collected a ton of data and made that data usable, right? I mean, their secret sauce or their magic is that they can sift through a mountain of data and get you usable information in multitude of seconds. That's why underneath their search engine, it literally says, 0.003 seconds to search 3 billion search results, right? And that's their magic sauce, is their ability to process data. Why do we like Facebook? right? There are actually tons of other social media platforms like Facebook that create a human profile, right? But what their secret sauce is sifting through through profile data to show you what is most relevant to you. What has made TikTok? I mean, let's be honest, right? Vine, and there's been YouTube Shorts, and you've got all sorts of websites that all do what TikTok does. But the reason that TikTok is incredible and successful is after like swiping 4 times, all of a sudden TikTok knows what you dream about at night. I mean, the thing is like insanely, powerful when it comes to being able to do that. But how does it do that? Data. The companies that are able to acquire, manipulate, and leverage data to give you what is most relevant to you are the companies that succeed. If you cannot acquire and manipulate and leverage data, you're just another fish in a very, very big pond, and it's the ones that are able to leverage data effectively that explode.
What's your thoughts, Todd? I totally agree. I mean, that's dead on. What's your thoughts as it relates to the small business environment?
Well, I mean, I think it's just to take a slightly different spin. I think so many businesses and business owners specifically, they're so busy wearing all the hats. And at the end of the day, they're just looking at the bottom line, red or black, red or black. But from an angle of just learning to educate and understanding what do these numbers mean, it doesn't have to take it to the nth degree to really get personalized within your business, at least for the small business owner. But if you at least know what are the key drivers within your business, when you have your accountant and you have your P&L sheet, are you actually looking at it on a monthly basis? Real simple question, yes or no. You're saying no. Uh-oh. And if you're not asking the questions of your accountant or your ops people and asking, hey, it looks like we went up last month. Do we know why? That's where you're going to find those hidden nuggets of insight that can help you grow and scale your business. It's going to help you identify, ooh, there's some cost cutting opportunities there. Or, oh my goodness, I'm getting scammed by this person. Why is this happening? You got to look at the spreadsheet. You got to look at your P&L. And yeah, you can manifest itself in so many different ways. You're running a sales organization. It's the old-fashioned funnel. How many phone calls are you making? How many contacts? How many appointments are you scheduling? If you're not tracking that, shame on you. What is that person selling? Mm-hmm. Salespeople are motivated to sell based off money. So data, it's just a smart business move for me. It's just logical sense. For the small business owners that don't look at it day in, day out, you have an opportunity. I'm just going to say that.
I love that.
What do you think, just this will be my last one, I'll let you guys jump in. What do you think, and I'm a little older than my two people on the other side of me. Let's just say I'm 60 years old and I'm running a business and it's successful. What's my fear? Like, we all want to grow, but we don't always be intentional about it. What do you guys see in the eyes of a 60-year-old that didn't grow up with technology? Now they're hearing sound bites from different areas. Like, I gotta know my data. I gotta know my KPIs. And they're kind of like, well, I gotta know if I can survive next year. Not that they can't. I don't want to. If somebody's in that position, it's more than just the awareness of what we're talking about. What do you say to that person? And I'll go to Jonathan first. What do you say to that person that really is seeing the world differently now?
Yeah, I think, hitting on exactly what is bottlenecking your business and causing the losses to your business, right? I think like a lot of what Todd has been talking about around the data, what the data does is it gives you, it pinpoints where your leaks are within your business, right? And unfortunately, I think that what happens to a lot of business owners often is, like you mentioned, right? We focus on the wrong thing. And we think that we're sitting here going, oh, well, we've got this pipe where we're putting something in on one side and we're expecting an output on the other. And we're sitting here just trying to cram more into one side and hoping that more will pop out the other without realizing that there's a leak right here in the middle, but we don't know exactly where that leak is, right? And we're sitting here just kind of like sporadically just kind of going around trying to like, duct tape everything, hoping that eventually we'll duct tape the correct thing. Right. And I think that goes back to, again, right, like the whole concept of like the fractional executive. The whole concept of the fractional executive is to help you say, hey, the reason that you're not getting the output that you're expecting is because you have a leak. And based on what you're telling me, I'm pretty sure that your leak is going to be somewhere over here. You're duct taping over here, but really you should be looking over here. Look at these data points and understanding what the data tells you. I think, frankly, a lot of what happens is a lot of business owners will look at data and they don't know what it means. They don't understand that, oh, when this data point over here says this, that's actually indicates that you've got a leak on this part of your business. And that's where you should be focusing. Right. And unfortunately, like we live in this like busy mentality. Right. I tell people all the time, I'm like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. So why is it that Jeff Bezos is over there making millions with Amazon and we're over here struggling to get this like $1 million business off the ground? Right. And the fact of the matter is it's not because he's working more. Right. It's not that he's working harder. Right. He's just working on the appropriate places that actually help further the output of his business. Right. And that's kind of the big thing. There's an incredible book, and I actually have it right here. I actually told my son to read it because they actually have a anime version of it, like a little comic book version of it. It's actually a business book. It's written in story format, and it's actually required reading at Amazon for all managers or above. Right. It's called The Goal. Right. And what it really hits on is the theory of constraints and making sure that you're actually working on the appropriate problem. Right. The data tells us where that problem is. We then have to be able to interpret that data. And if you can't interpret it, that's because you don't have the appropriate knowledge. You need to bring in the expert who can tell you this is what that data means. And then you can go work on the actual problem to get you out of that situation.
Yeah.
I
I love that, Jonathan, because I like to call it data literacy, honestly, is what I call it, or financial literacy, however you want to skin it, depending upon what team you're working with. Because, yeah, I think there's a real fear factor, Pete. I think there's a fear factor, numbers, spreadsheets. No, that's that team, or my office manager runs that. No. This is simple math. I mean, that's when I come in and there's this premise that I've learned throughout my career. Keep it simple, stupid. And if you can just digest it down, boil it down to the lowest common denominator. And I love what you said, Jonathan. Data gives you the opportunity to put a spotlight on where the issue is. And then you know what, Mr. Owner, Mrs. Owner, you need to go fix that. Why? Because I don't know how to. I'm just steering you. I'm being a Sherpa on behalf of your business to point out where are your opportunities to grow. And it could be, plugging a hole, or it could be, wow, that marketing, if Mr. Raps were in the office, wow, that really seems to work right there. Yeah. So invest more there. So what it does, it helps you, it points you in the right direction. But in addition to that, with the data literacy, there's always a story. So you would always want to validate whatever the data says within whatever, whether it's a spreadsheet, Tableau, Power BI, whatever you use based on the sophistication of your business. Now where do you find?
I heard a word there that I've heard it before, and I never heard it before this. Power BI, I think. Was that what it was?
That's the Microsoft visualization tool.
Yeah. Yeah. Michelle Chapman was on, and she was talking all about that. And it's the first I'd ever heard of it. So I guess the key is hang out with some guys that know a lot more than you do, and maybe you'll learn something. Okay, so I want to ask this one question, and then you guys have the rest. So tell me how a small business owner should be thinking about AI. It's in the news. We're hearing all about it. give our small business owners a glimpse into not consuming them with everything, but how would you want them to kind of use and perceive that tool?
Todd, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So I think when I look at AI and the AI landscape, and by the way, that's just AI is a fancy word for machine learning in certain disciplines. The reality is it's been around for about 15 years. That is the reality. It just got attractive and sexy over the past couple years. A couple people really stubbed their toe last year because they made a mistake because they jumped without having, one, a strategy. Number one, you need to have a strategy. Number two, I'll say you need to have a data strategy. And why do you need a data strategy? Because AI is only as good as the data and information you're giving it. So if you don't have it, but do you let your data steer you, or do you have a strategy first? So strategy number one, data strategy number two. Then you can look at, if you're a larger business, you can take a look at and say, all right, how should AI help us and complement our business? It doesn't take it over, but it's complementary. Now, what I'll say, I'll get in trouble with this, if you're a content developer, it makes it a heck of a lot faster. You can get 80% there pretty darn quickly. Then you just put like the tail end on either side. If you're working in some sort of, environment where you are trying to route call volume or something to that manner, you can leverage AI based off customer profiles. These are much more complex scenarios. For the small business owner, I like getting back to the blocking and tackling. Make sure you have a strategy, number one, and number two, make sure you have a data strategy. You're looking at the right numbers. If you're somehow, some way, once you get there, then let's have a conversation about AI. Does it make sense for your business? Yes or no? I'm on the fence on whether every business needs it. I don't think most do, honestly. We're just not there yet.
100%.
Awesome. What, Jonathan, jump on in and add some.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think, again, right, like Todd mentioned, there's like some major applications that can be utilized for AI, and AI is just not quite there yet when it comes to a lot of the major applications that most people think of, right? People think of AI and they think of like this almost like advanced technology of the future type thing, right? Now, one of the things that I will say, right, and the biggest thing that I honestly have been preaching to most people is that AI has actually a lot of applications in the micro, right? It's still not very good in the macro, but it is very, very good in the micro. So much so that I actually personally recommend AI not only to business owners, but to every human being on the planet. The fact of the matter is like, if you guys haven't utilized like ChatGPT, and especially like the paid version, which is only like $20 a month, and I don't get any affiliates, but I want to because I should. But the reality is I mean, you can literally, I recently hired a house management operation guy who helps me manage my household, right? Takes care of my kids, takes care of the household and everything else. And I'm like, bro, download ChatGPT and make sure that you use it for anything, right? You have a question, you have a thought, go to ChatGPT, ask it your question, and you would be amazed at the results that you get. You can literally go to your fridge, take a picture of your fridge, and ask the ChatGPT, make me a recipe based off everything that's in my fridge today. And it will pop out an entire like dinner plan for you. If you want to, and you're like, hey, take a picture of my fridge and make me a dinner plan for the rest of the week. It will literally extract all of the ingredients that are in your fridge and literally come up with an entire, recipe plan. And again, that's just in your personal life. Not even beyond that, right? Is not even that much further is, yeah, you're trying to have that rough conversation with your wife. And you're like, I have no clue how I'm going to tell her that I wrecked the car without her, getting upset. What are some ideas of what you can do in personal conversations? You can literally go to AI and literally ask it, this is my wife. This is normally how she responds to these types of news. I don't really know how to have the conversation with her. What would you recommend that I say? I mean, the reality is you can use AI in so many micro conversations, micro situations, and everything else in such an amazing way. And so from that same perspective, I mean, no lie, I have even used AI to literally help me through almost like therapeutic issues where I'm like, bro, like I am feeling some kind of way emotionally about this particular thing. Why is that? What exactly is at the core of my feelings and why I believe what I believe? What would you tell me if you were a therapist? You know, what would you say to me? And literally AI has helped me work through a lot of those different things, right? And so again, I would definitely say that in my personal opinion, while again, when we think about the macro and like the machine learning and all that stuff, it's going to have a lot of potential down in the future. But in the short term, how can you use those little nuggets from AI on a day-to-day basis? I actually have a company AI that I use through ChatGPT, and I tell everyone, please go to AI and see what you can get out of that. Granted, keep in mind, it's not a perfect technology. I would literally treat it just like another human being, right? As much as we love everybody and we trust a lot of people, we're not going to take everyone to every single word that they say. You want to verify a lot of your information. AI is literally taking its knowledge and its information from the internet and from the content that people have put out there. So if people have an improper mindset, AI is just going to tell you what the public tells you, right? And so it's very important to, you know, just validate a lot of the information that's being given to you when it comes to AI. But I think there's just massive amounts of applications. I mean, I've literally had team members like send out sales emails and they're like, oh my God, this client is a nightmare. This client's rough. They don't know exactly how to communicate with this particular client. I literally tell them, I'm like, bro, take a picture of the client's communication to you and what exactly that they said, send it to AI and ask AI what it would recommend to get the best result from that individual. And it can do that in a very effective way. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to my refrigerator after this. I want that recipe plan. I geek out on those little things that can
100%.
save you 10 minutes of time here and 15 minutes of time because
It
you're
adds
right.
up.
We only have 24 hours and I did read just the other day that Amazon's investing 150 billion in data. You know, they're building places and so obviously we're moving into a new era of change and you got to be flexible and adaptable to what things can do to move your needle and you got to I love it that when you talk fractional it's almost like a mastermind team. You know, I've always believed in that concept of masterminds because you put people together to solve problems and we have blind spots in whatever we're doing. And if we can kind of get better insights into really what blind spots we have in our business, there's no telling how much we can grow. So I promised you guys about 25 minutes. We're 3 minutes over. So tell our people, let me see, I think I have y'all in here. I want to say how the people can get a hold of y'all. No, I don't. Oh, shoot. Okay. No, I think I do. I know I have Todd, but let me just see if I think I have you, Jonathan, too. So while I'm doing that, tell our people, and Jonathan, you go first. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, as of today, you know, we're still in the process of launching our brand and getting everything set up. But you can reach me at jt@pivotalexec.solutions.
Okay.
And you can always call me or anything of that nature at 404-374-9322.
Awesome. If I was quick enough, I would have been able to get you up here, Jonathan. But I'm
No,
one
you're
for
good.
two, so I'm 50%. So that's a pretty good batting average. But you
Yeah.
always got to get 100% on some things.
No,
So
you're good.
Todd, tell our listeners how can they get a hold of you.
Yeah, right here you have my email address up on the screen. You can contact me anytime. I do respond to emails. I don't put people automatically into the spam sector. Unless you're immediately selling me, then I will. You know, we're in relationship businesses. But no, you could also check out my website, diakonosms.com. You can learn more about me, my business, and all the cool stuff that I've done.
Awesome. So what would I'll go to you, Jonathan, first, and then you finish up, Todd. What would be the one thing that you want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
I would say just again, right? Like if you don't understand a lot of the things that we're talking about, because I do know we got into a little bit of like data and geeking out on some of the things that are out there, is seek that guidance and that knowledge, right? At the end of the day, you have no idea how much energy and how much effort and how much money you're investing. And it may not be in the right area, and all you need is a simple conversation half the time to just say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. Am I even in the right ballpark? And oftentimes you will find that with just a little bit of guidance, it can make an insane amount of return on your investment on the time that you're spending on things by simply putting it in the right location.
Absolutely, man. Hey, Todd. I'm going to give it to you now. So you have a high bar you was just sharing there, but definitely share with us the one thing you would want our viewers to take home.
Yeah, I mean, that was great, by the way, Jonathan. Any role from a fractional perspective, look, I'm a business owner. In fact, I have 2 businesses. It gets very, very lonely making all the shots, calling all the shots day in, day out. And when you do, you're more prone to make stupid mistakes that you yourself even know better not to make. That's where a fractional role comes in so beautifully, whether it's sales, marketing, chief revenue officer, IT, whatever. That expertise is there to help you steer you through those tougher decisions. And what I find oftentimes, the business owner knows the answer, or they're about 50 to 60% there. We just come in and help crystallize it for them. We help point them in the right direction and then help pull out from them from that standpoint, what are the next best steps given our expertise? So I trust me, I made enough stupid mistakes in year 1.5 where I wish I would have taken the time and energy to invest in a fractional leader.
Awesome. Dang, I love it. Dang, thank you guys. I really appreciate you helping our viewers through the maze of business growth, because it's only going to get more competitive out there, and you either have to level up or level out. Hey, there we go. Dang, I love it. There's Jonathan's information. See, whenever you get a tech guy who just can dive in and get the data when you need it, you have to have them on your podcast, because it wasn't going to happen if I'm trying to find the data.
All good.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you being with me. And thank you, our viewers. If you know of people that you think this would help them, please share this podcast with them, because we never want to be the best kept secret when we're out there, is to know what your resources are, know where they are, know where the people are that can help you grow your business. Thanks, guys.
Bye now.
Thanks. Bye.